Hello, everyone. Yo. Or
We
as Joe
made it.
says, yo.
Yo,
Looks like that's
mama.
what he's. Yo, mama.
Yo, mama.
Hello to your mother. Hello to your mother. Yo,
Right.
mo, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome. We made it.
989, your mother.
Yes. Sorry for our delay, but we are here. We have made it. It was longer than 5 minutes, so I apologize for that, but we did it.
Yeah, it was all your fault too, Ryan.
It sure
Had
was.
nothing to do with me being on the road.
That's right. That's right. It was. I mean, I could have gone live by myself, but it would have complicated things because I wouldn't have had Discord open, and then none of the images would have been working quite right. I might have had to stop the screen and restart it, so I figured we just refrain from doing all that and just wait.
Yeah. It'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
We made
But
it
it is
happen.
my fault. Could have made it happen.
Ryan knows how to do it.
Mm-hmm. I know that.
You know how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, welcome everybody.
Somebody gotta do it.
How are you all today? If there's here and listening, Manglios. How about you, Joe? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm fantastic. If I was any better, I'd be twins.
Whoa. Is
Yeah.
that what happens when you get?
But the world would not be ready for that though. The world would be like, nope, overload. It'd be a Joverload.
Joe overload? That's great. Twins.
Yes,
two
but I did have
Joes.
I had a cool conversation with some people in VC yesterday. I think it was Riku and Zay and me, and we were in there. We were talking about like the future and stuff, and like I'm gonna have this big, huge house, right? And like
Okay.
all these people are gonna come live there.
Ooh.
You know, we're gonna have this whole international bunch of people come and live at this
Wow.
big house that I want to buy, and we're gonna it's called the Joe. So you come live at the Joe.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
Yep. And Zay
Nice.
was like, I would pay so much money to live at the Joe. And I'm like, see, the point of the Joe is you don't have to pay to live there.
Nice.
We just give you a spot. Now, here's the thing, though. You got to somehow be involved in BSS or something, right? And we're going to put you to work. Because even though
like
you
be
live
like,
there, you just...
I polish the shoes of every man who steps through the door. That's what I do at the Joe. Polish shoes.
Yes. What's your job at the Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Yo,
Yo. Welcome to the Joe.
Welcome to the Joe.
That's what you're gonna say when they come into your door.
Yo. Welcome to the Joe.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to move into the Joes already. The Joes not in that conducive of a living environment for lots of people at the moment.
Not the current Joe, but the future Joe.
Yes. I mean, I'd love to have you. You'd be awesome. You'd be great company.
That's great. That's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah.
Welcome, Saule. Welcome, Twashu. August as well. Fantastic, August. You're here. We have a topic from you. Now, I just realized while doing the topic today, that it says, "Don't do mine this week," and that's perpetually.
That was last
saved
week, though.
Into it, so every week I read it, it's gonna always say, "Don't do it this week." So, that's a big bummer for you. But we could ignore it and just do it anyway. If you want.
Matcha cookies? Matcha cookies.
Oh, matcha cookies.
I've heard of matcha. I'd never imagined it could be in a cookie.
Oh, they have matcha everything. I bet you it's great. You know, they have literally matcha rice, which is literally a dinner. Basically, it's like a bowl that you eat for dinner. And it's very common in Japan. And basically what it is
Do you eat the bowl?
It's basically just rice and tea. So you get rice and you make it, instead of making it with regular water, you make it with, and then you have tea rice, and it's like a soup type of thing.
Oh, and Twashu confirms you do eat the bowl.
You eat the bowl, yes. You can eat the bowl if you if you're really savvy on porcelain whatever, or glass or whatever your bowl might be made out of.
I mean, if they make it out of rice paper.
There you go. Although, no, that wouldn't work. I mean, it
No?
might work.
Oh.
Here's the thing. Rice
What if you
paper
could
and
make a
water.
bowl out of rice?
Rice paper and water just makes the rice paper no longer like
It just
brittle.
dissolves.
Yeah, it doesn't completely dissolve, but it does get like it would just unfold. Your whole bowl will stop being a bowl and it will just flatten out, and then you'd have water everywhere.
I see. All right. So we need somebody involved in some kind of science to design the
An
edible
edible
bowl. I mean, they
You know,
have
they
have
make
bread bowls. Yeah.
And they do
Yes.
hold things like clam chowder in them, so
Yes,
which is
and I love
amazing.
that. Man, I'll tell you what, I don't like going to Panera.
Okay.
This is not a promotion for Panera because I don't like it.
Okay.
But
Neither does my mom. I've never been there.
in the times when I've been at a Panera, their bread bowl with soup is so good.
I believe it.
So
okay.
good.
If I ever
Yes,
have to
they
go
made
there, that's
ice
what I'll
cream
order.
waffles too, like the waffle cone.
Oh, yes, that's
for ice
right.
cream. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah, waffle cones are bowls. I've never
So
been
if
to
you could-
Panera because my mom hates it so much that I just never went to one.
Yep. No, I get it. I get
Mhm.
it. My ex loved Panera. I don't know if she still does or not, but man, so I'd get roped into being at Panera sometimes, and I was always just like, oh my gosh, I'm spending all this money here.
Yeah, my mom didn't like it because
I'm
she
supporting
says,
them.
one, the bread doesn't taste very good, especially if it's supposed to be fresh. It doesn't make sense because it certainly doesn't taste fresh. Also, she's pretty sure that the smell that they have in the air that smells like it, they're like making fresh bread is just like a scent and a fan, like they do. And yeah, she's convinced that the whole thing is just a facade. They don't have any fresh bread there. They just unfreeze bread and like bake it, and it's not great. Yeah.
I gotcha. Twashu, Panera is a restaurant. It's a chain of restaurant in the United States. They've got a bunch of them all over. You find them in like the swanky malls and in those areas, like in those, that type of area. And it's weird. Like the reason their food is fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's just
the reason I don't like Panera is because I think it's part of the employee training to train you how to be a jerk.
Oh.
Because everybody.
Really?
Everybody's just like this stuck up nose in the air, like, oh, I'm so cool and you're so
Wow.
I have to serve you.
Wow.
Like, this is horrible. And I'm just like, come here.
Oh my.
There's your tip.
No.
Hey, good. Well,
Or watch
Miaglios,
out.
I'm glad you like it because enough people like it that it's there and it's around. And maybe your Panera is different.
Like I said,
And maybe
I've never
it's just
even
a
been to one.
Michigan thing. Maybe it's a Michigan thing, and maybe just Michigan people are all jerks. I don't know. That's definitely a possibility.
Whoa, Miaglios, you're gonna be driving? Wow. Jeez. Remember when you couldn't drive? You're driving now. Wow.
Yeah.
You've come a long way, Miaglios. Come a long.
That's fantastic.
All right, have a safe drive.
We will await your return in the chat, but we'll still do a topic.
There is a little tiniest like little fruit fly or something that keeps on flying around right in front of my face. It's like, I don't know what. So if you see me going like this a bunch, it's because it will not stop. Been doing it for like the last hour.
Well, don't kill it.
I would never.
Whatever you do.
Not on purpose. I don't want to eat that. No thanks. That's the way it goes with insects. You kill it, you eat it. Unless they're mosquitoes. You don't have to eat mosquitoes. That would be cannibalism.
This is your rule.
Yeah, my rule.
I want to stress this rule of Ryan's.
The rule is you kill it, you eat it. So if you don't just kill insects because you can or because they bother you, you let them be. And if you decide you want to kill it,
Well,
then you have to eat it.
all kind of animals, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's not like you see,
Not just bugs.
yeah, not just bugs. It's deer as well, or some kind of bird like pigeon, cockatiel, or
Or
whatever
a
you see.
varmint.
Yeah,
Or a
or a
varmint.
rat or
Because
something.
Ryan likes living in a house with mouse turds.
I'd rather live in a house with a mouse and mouse turds than be a turd.
And be a turd and kill the mouse.
And kill the mouse. Yeah, see? That's the
Oh,
word.
good. Yes. Oh, Saule, thank you for the disclaimer.
Ah,
We
yes.
need to say it out loud
We
probably
ought
too,
to.
huh?
Welcome to Don't
Yeah.
Worry Wednesday. Hey, thanks for joining us, guys. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we talk about problems, worries, whatever's on your mind to help get through the days that are there in your life. Life can be everywhere. You're going to have your ups and downs, but hopefully we can be here to be a part of both. Be a friend along the way, encourage you, and move you along the path best that we can. We aren't professional psychologists or psychiatrists or anything along those lines, but we can do our best to give you our own experiences and what helped us, or different perspective, or just a little bit of encouragement. Because a lot of times you guys know what to do in your situations, but it does really help to just have an ear to listen and someone to agree with your idea that, yeah, okay, I should do this. Do it this way. So, with that said, thank you for being here. Don't Worry Wednesday. We do have several topics that came in, but that several is only 3. So if we wanted to today, we probably could get through all of them. We probably won't. We'll probably only get through 2. But if you would like to submit a topic, please go to don'tworrywednesday.com. That'd be really helpful, both to you and to us. So we'd really appreciate that. That's don'tworrywednesday.com. It's very simple. You just press the little topic button and you're on your way. Otherwise, if you feel like you can't do that because you just can't, you can type it in the chat here, and we'd be more than happy to get to it. Welcome, cats. Welcome. Time no see. Hope you're doing great.
Yeah. Cats just put a picture in my server.
Oh. A picture or a picture?
A picture.
A picture
It's
of a picture.
apparently me,
Yeah.
but it almost kind of looks like Cat's superimposed.
Salmon, hey, welcome.
Hey, what's going on? Actually, no, it's just me.
It's just you.
Yeah.
It's just a picture of you? That's great. Cats posted a picture of you in your chat.
Yes.
Okay. Way to go, cats. 3 for emphasis. Thank you, Salale. It's don'tworrywednesday.com. Don'tworrywednesday.com. That is don'tworrywednesday.com.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Topics go there.
That's where the topics go.
Emphasis.
Emphasis.
Yes. You ever put the emphasis on the wrong syllable?
Syllable? Oh, I do it all the time.
Oh.
I was like, how do I do that with all? There's only one syllable. Oh, wait. No, there's 2. I'll invent one. Oh. The ton.
Oh, a really small topic. If you want a really small topic to start out, how do you deal with people that have no reading comprehension? Like you talk to them and their answer makes it apparent they have no idea what you said. You mean like when you're messaging with someone cuz like or they're having trouble like you're talking and that's a good question.
That might
do you
be
deal with
us
that?
today. So how do you deal
Yeah.
with us? I would
Well,
say if you experience that, just repeat yourself and find another way to say it. It's just be like, hold on, I don't know if you got what I was trying to say. Let me say it in a different way. It's totally okay to do that, and there's ways to do that are not offensive. Like, I'm sorry, the way I speak can be a little bit strange sometimes. I'm gonna re-say that because that didn't come out right. You can say it that way. You could say, hey, my English isn't great, or you could say, hey, my German's not so great, even though you're German. So, like, I like literally all the time, I'm like, sorry, my English skills are terrible. Let me retry that because that didn't come through right. Because if you notice that they're not getting it, you could just re-say it in a different way. That's my best answer. Joe, do you have an answer?
Be patient.
Be patient. Be patient. Be wise.
That's probably because, like, yes, what Ryan said for technique is very appropriate. However,
be patient.
The hardest part is dealing with yourself when you're frustrated like that. Right? And then you just so as your frustration is welling up and you feel yourself getting high blood pressure and all this kind of stuff, it's kind of a key to relax and just be like, okay, they don't know what I'm talking about or whatever. There's miscommunication, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Your Latvian isn't great, even though we're speaking English.
That's why you didn't get it. Let me try again. Yeah. My Latvian is terrible.
My Japanese is awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Right. Saule, you're awesome. Welcome, Kishin Slayer. Oh my gosh. Welcome, Kishin Slayer. Also, welcome, Otlight. Nice to see both of you. This is great. We're popping here. Hello, what's popping? You guys are popping.
You guys are popping.
Great to see.
It's 7 p.m. in the morning.
7 p.m. waking up in the morning. Gotta go to school. Gotta eat cereal. You guys know the lyrics. Yeah, isn't that the lyrics?
Cereal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know that
song. It's Friday. Gotta get down on. Wednesday. That's right, because today's Wednesday.
It is.
If it's been forever since you heard that song, I'm sorry. My wife quotes it all the time. Every time the word 7 comes up in a conversation, it's 7 a.m. waking up in the morning, gotta go. Whatever she says. Lyrics.
You just ate breakfast for supper. Man, that's one of my favorite suppers. That's why I like going to Denny's.
Oh. Breakfast, even though it's breakfast for dinner, yeah.
Even though their sausage links are just like gross, but still like I don't know what, man, I must be thinking about food now.
Yeah. Do any of you distinguish supper from dinner, from tea time?
Huh?
Do any
supper
of you
from dinner?
Yeah, do you distinguish them from tea as well? And I know that's super weird to you, Joe, but I live in a household where my neighbors, okay, I'll just say it that way, always called what we call dinner in America. They always call it tea. And so like, hey, you guys want some tea? If they ask that, they're offering food, not drink. And that is super, super interesting.
Huh. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
So, okay, so Twashu's got some updates. I'm very willing to give up on people before I get angry. But I'm just so it's disappointing they don't get major plot points of the story we're talking about. Context, we were talking about a story, and they were like, I don't like X because he was mean to Y, whereas the whole thing was a play, and X even saved Y in the end. Like, I see. So yeah, no, that's totally frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? When you go through a conversation with a friend, and like you then have to go through the same conversation like 4 or 5 times because they forget that you had this conversation over and over and over. Yeah,
patience is important.
And over again. It's tough, man.
That's when you bring out the Latvian.
Yes. You'd be like, okay, you didn't get this last time, so I'm going to say it in a different language, and then maybe you'll get it then. I'll say it in Pig Latin.
Ooh.
Uye, idne, ute, obste.
You need to stop.
At they.
Something. I didn't quite get the last two because I
gay a therapist they.
Get a therapist. Wow.
Essay. Give
me an essay. Oh, like essay, like the Spanish.
Essay.
That's swine Latin. That's not pig Latin, man. That's swine Latin. Oh my gosh. Latvian increases listening comprehension.
Wait.
Got it.
So the only thing you guys talk about in German is how much I suck at Fortnite.
That's yeah, every time you guys open your mouth, that's what you're saying, right? Wow. Don't worry, Wednesday has a licensed therapist now. Unfortunately,
No,
no.
we are not
We are still
licensed
not
therapists.
registered. Yeah, we are still not certified. But we're still doing it. We're doing it anyways
We're doing it.
because we love you guys.
I know licensed therapists.
There you go.
I've been in the care of multiple licensed therapists.
That's good. That's good.
Is there a topic right now? We're not really on a topic.
Yeah, we're about to start one.
Excuse me. Twashu sent us a really quick, short
Yeah.
topic.
Yep. I am having a disco always. It never stops in my head. So
Really?
yeah, no, that's not true. Okay.
Oh, is it because your lights are being
Yeah, the
funny?
lights. Yeah.
It's the lights.
Um,
My lights never change. They're always the same. I always
Amazing,
look
man.
the same. I wear the same shirt.
that's not true.
I have the same bald head.
The mustache and the beard are definitely changing over time.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting bigger.
Mm-hmm. They grow with your anger.
Growing.
No.
That's right. Yes. I get angry and I just go.
And then hairs just start
And
popping out
more
of your face.
hair. Like, yeah.
One hair for every
That's
time I've been
exactly how it
angry.
works. Oh my gosh. This is why, man, how many oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to have so many hairs by then.
Amazing.
Crazy
August.
people.
August, are you still with us? If you are, please let us know. I would like to do your topic.
Yeah, I want to do your topic too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this one. This is a good one.
August, let us know if you are available.
Even though it says, please don't cover this week. Well, August said, up above here, August said something.
To do it yesterweek.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterweek.
You got to call, but you're back? Okay, great. Hey. Oh, good
All right,
timing.
let's do it. Quick
timing.
quick before he gets another call. Quick.
Okay. I'm going to throw this topic onto the screen for you guys to read along. This one is from August. It is titled Character Progression, as I've named it. And reads as follows. Please don't cover this week. But that was last week, so I added last week. All right.
Yes. Good clarification.
I'm not sure how to best express this, so I'll try from a game perspective. Have you ever felt like you've collected countless levels in a game, yet you never reached the next level of your character's development? It's like you're a ranger who can't become a master ranger. That's how I've been feeling this past few months. I feel like my inner self has become much more complex, but in a very structured and not outward manner. However, while everyone around me has progressed through significant personal growth phases, I feel like I've remained the same person since middle school, and now I'm in college. It's not that I'm unhappy with who I am. I genuinely love myself, but I also feel a sense of stagnation. It's as if I'm stuck in a version of myself that hasn't evolved since middle school. I want to continue being myself, but I also yearn to feel like a living, breathing, and evolving individual. I can't help but feel a sense of worry that I'm not truly evolving as a person. And truthfully, deep down, I worry I may become bored of myself as a result. From August. Thank you, August. You are such a lovely human being. I find this topic very interesting and unique because I don't think this is certainly not a common one. And I don't think we've really gotten this one before. So it is certainly unique. We might have gotten something similar, but certainly not this. But yeah, I find this very interesting. And since I've known you, you have been a very loving and kind individual, and I found that very attractive. I think, I see you as evolving as a human being. Obviously, you're progressing through life. You've moved out to a different place away from home. You've developed there. You've gone to college. All this kind of stuff. So you are progressing outwardly in some manners, but I guess I'd like to get a little bit more information, if I can, from you, to maybe more understand this. But I'll
What's your
have to figure
major?
out. Yeah, what's your major? That's a good question. I sort of have to sit here and figure out what to ask, to dig deeper. So while I do that, I think the best thing I can do is give it over to Joe, um, and see what he's got to say. I mean, he's gone through a lot of change over just the last couple of minutes. We talked about how much his hair is growing and stuff. So now over the last
Yeah,
many years that
that
I've known him, he's really grown
that's how
and
I
changed a lot.
evolve now.
So
It's all in it's the beard, right? It's
yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
that's my evolvingness.
That's right. That's his outward
All
show of
right.
inner. No, okay. Anyways, yeah, Joe, take it away. It's all yours.
All right. All right, cool. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, August, for the
Mm,
topic. And yeah, I agree with Ryan. I think this is this is a fun one. This is a good one, and it's gonna help us to, we'll dig into some areas that maybe we haven't done in this show, before. So, but I see you said, okay, your major is environmental health sciences.
oh.
So, okay, so you're in a science major, which lends itself to being pretty information heavy. Like there's a lot of stuff to learn in many of the sciences. I remember my mom was a human anatomy and physiology professor, and that was so content rich. There's so much stuff to learn. And so like, how do you have time to grow as a person when you're learning and memorizing these things and you're like figuring all these kinds of things out, right? And so, and I think that's probably the same in any science major. I remember we had Princess on the show for a
Mm-hmm.
long time, and she's some microbiology major or whatever. And so there's a lot of stuff to learn there. And it's weird because like you focus so much on all the stuff you need to learn for your education that it kind of feels like you're stuck as a person, like you're not growing as a person. You're still learning, stuff, but it's not like feeling like you're moving yourself forward. So I don't know. You said I'm wondering if is there a specific question you have with this topic? You definitely you worded this really well, and I love that. I like the beginning. You went to like a game where you were like, you're collecting countless levels, but you never reach the next level of your character's development, right? Like, so you still whatever that level is, but you're still amassing a ton of XP, and but you just don't seem to ever hit that next level. And it's weird because I think we kind of go through this is just a part of life. And I know as man, when I was a kid, it was growing, and then I kind of plateaued a little bit, probably about the same as you, kind of in middle school, where I kind of got a few things figured out, but it only lasted a couple years. And then I got into music, and music became such a huge part of my life, and I progressed as that. But then I was just a musician for a really long time. And then I got in a relationship, and then everything changed. Um, and like that caused a massive change, but I don't think that was for the better in my case. What ended up happening was there was a change that happened, and when I got into this relationship, and I actually became uh, I don't know, I became less human. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, August says, I guess my question feels silly, but do you think I need to be doing things differently? Do you think it's bad if my life continues on with this trademark version of myself? And I don't think so. I mean, if you love who you are, as you said in the topic, and you're not unhappy with who you are, it just feels kind of stagnant. You don't need to make huge sweeping changes in who you are on a regular basis. In fact, it's good to be consistent, right? But you're going to learn and you're going to grow, and you can take on attributes, and you will gain more wisdom, you'll gain more experience every time you do something new. So if you're feeling like you're stagnant, then probably one of the things I would do is find something new to learn. something that you've never gotten into before. It could be anything. You know, if you're an environmental health sciences person, and I also know you play music, and you know there's all kinds of stuff that make up who you are. You can try and move into a new area, something even simple like kayaking or bowling or you know some kind of activity. And what you'll find is the activity itself maybe won't make such a huge impact on who you are, but the people you meet, the conversations you have, the new environment you're in, these things can shape us and then help us gain more wisdom and grow and then learn to adapt to new and more exciting challenges. Then you kind of have a new adventure. So it was um so to answer this question, I don't think it's bad at all. But I'd also encourage you to be open. Be open to new things that life can bring you. Like we always talk about this song, this Static P song, "Life Might Take Us,"
Mm.
and it's there, but there's so much truth in it because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's just around the corner. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who's going to, take become a huge part of your life. These things you just don't know, and then they happen, and all of a sudden you're in this new thing in your life, and then sometimes you meet some people, and they don't personally do it to you, but just in your talking with this person and in your interactions, you start to notice a huge deficiency in who you are, how you operate, all kinds of stuff. And so I've run into this a handful of times with different people that I've met, even just over the past few years, where I've met new people and then just my interactions with them, I realize, oh my gosh, I have this huge like weak spot in this area that I need to figure out how to shore up. And so then I will look for materials, I'll look for training, I'll look for different things that I can learn to shore up those areas of my life. And there's lots and lots and lots of personal development materials out there. I'll tell you, that was probably the biggest, the time I saw the biggest shift in who I am and just my ability to deal with people, my ability to handle situations, my ability to handle stress, my ability to deal with my emotions was probably when I was in my mid 20s. And I came across some guys who were really, really passionate about personal development. And so we were listening to lots and lots of audios about personal development. We were reading lots and lots of books about personal development. And as I learned so many of these things, I started to learn principles on how to be more effective, how to get along with people better, how to communicate more effectively, how to get more things done, how to be goal oriented. You know, you start to learn some of these things. And so I might encourage you to, and the cool thing is a lot of this information is readily available through podcasts. So you can find some kind of podcast about whatever it is that you maybe want to learn or maybe want to do new. Um, if you have, and I would probably start with if you think you have some kind of a glaring weakness somewhere. Sometimes they're blind spots, and it can be very humbling to determine that I have this blind spot here and it's actually a pretty big weakness of mine and I need to figure out how to shore this up. And so you can just do a Google search on this kind of stuff and probably a whole bunch of stuff will come up and you can learn about how to shore that area of your personality up or your life or whatever and start to understand more about yourself, more about the world around you and how people operate, including yourself. So, yeah, I don't think your question is silly at all. I don't think it's bad that you have this trademark version of yourself. I don't think that's bad at all. But you can always improve it. And so that's what I would probably start thinking about doing. It's tough when you're in college because you're so focused on your major. You're so focused on school. You're focused on getting all of your assignments done. You're learning all this stuff. You got to take all these tests. You want to get your degree. And so college can kind of feel like a little bit of a holding pattern because you're not progressing as an individual, but you're learning so much stuff all the time. And so it can feel like I'm just filling my head with all this kind of stuff. I don't need, like, I don't have time to really undergo personal development. But I don't know. I always figure books are a worthy investment. I buy books all the time. It was so funny. Like when I was in therapy and my therapist would even mention a book title, the next thing I would do is go on Amazon and buy it. Because most of these books are only like 10, 15 bucks, right? And so it's not that expensive. And books, man, it's so worth the price you pay. 15, 20, 10, 15, 20 bucks, whatever. I mean, how much do you spend on college textbooks?
Hmm.
A lot, right? If college is anything like when I was in college, the books are ridiculously expensive. And then, you learn what you learn out of them and then you sell them back to the bookstore or whatever. And then you're done. You're done with it, right? But I have a pretty huge library of all kinds of books ranging from people skills, being a leader, organizational skills, you know, tons of different areas on how to just develop into a more effective person. So those are some things that you can think about doing. Okay, August says some are so crazy. They really charge it on homework softwares in the earlier stages of college. Oh, really?
Hmm.
Wow, so now you got to buy software to do
Interesting.
your homework? That's wow. Man, oh man, they really get you every way since Sunday.
Wow.
Any way we can find to make money, let's go do it, man. We pull some money out of these kids. But anyway, I don't know. That's probably where I would look to if you wanted to improve in any type of area. Think of different ways like, okay, what do I feel like I could get better at? Or what do I want to get better at? Or what do I want to learn? It can be as simple as learning a new instrument. When I got divorced, that was one of the things that kept me sane was I decided to learn how to play the bass. And so I just, I'd already knew how to play guitar, but I looked up some instructional videos on playing bass, and then I started listening to songs and picking them apart and just playing along with these songs. Um, whoa, dang, you paid $150 for a semester of quizzes?
Yeah, that sounds awful.
What? Just the quizzes? You had to pay for your quizzes. Like the
That's
tuition wasn't
that's
enough. Like
bonkers.
that's
Okay.
that's wild. But anyway, so yeah, I think the best way if you're feeling stagnant, the best way is to just pick something you want to learn or pick some area of your life you want to improve and then start digging into it. And that can pull you out of a slump. It can help you feel like you're actually growing and moving forward. You're going to take in this information and then as you start to apply it, it'll kind of feel like you're not getting anywhere for a while. But then all of a sudden, whether it's a couple months later or maybe a year later or something, you just kind of notice yourself responding differently. You notice yourself being a different person. Ryan talks about my abilities with people, when we meet
Mm.
people and we're at different events and, like when I can just strike up conversations and I can talk to people. And that's something that I was not good at all. I had to learn that stuff. And Ryan met me after I had gone through probably about a year and a half of learning this stuff, and I had been, trying to get better at it, trying to figure it out, trying to apply it, and he saw the fruits of that
Mm-hmm.
effort, you know? So I don't know. We're, I would like to. Sometimes it feels like people are just naturals at stuff, and maybe we are. I was kind of a natural at playing drums, and in musicianship. But really, any ability that we have or any skill in any area comes at the expense of working at it and training in it. And so I don't think, I mean, people are natural at different stuff, but that's almost more difficult to deal with because when you're a natural, you might think, oh, I'm a natural. And so I don't need to really work at this. But the only way you ever get better, the only way you ever take that natural ability you have and turn it into a skill, like a true skill, is to work at it and work at it and work at it and work at it. And then all of a sudden you find yourself really good at whatever it is. And so I don't know. If you're feeling stagnant, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're not moving forward, just pick something. Pick something new. Doesn't have to be complicated. Doesn't have to be crazy. Doesn't have to be this big, huge, thing. And right now in college, maybe you'd want it to be simple. Learn to play the thumb piano. I don't know. Learn something. But anyway, I don't know. That's what I got. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what Ryan's got to say. And he's got questions too.
Hey, yeah, I'll do my
he says,
best.
Ryan's got the questions.
I got the questions for you, man. They're the hard ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll do my best. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for getting us there, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I like a lot of what you said, and I think there are times where sometimes we look at other people and we see so much change in them over the many years, or we just kind of see them differently than we see ourselves. So this might be one of the cases where you're looking at yourself and you kind of see yourself as the same, even though other people, if you were to ask them, like your friends, like they'd be like, well, yeah, I mean, you're still kind of the same guy, but I mean, it's not like we think that you're still in middle school, It's not like we don't see you as someone who's progressed a far way. You might just get their opinions on it and see how they feel about you. And then you might get it in perspective and think of yourself differently. I think a lot of times we think of ourselves differently than how other people see us. And if we can get kind of their perspective on it, it sometimes helps us see ourselves in new ways. I think also, August, of something, do you feel like part of this is like a matter of character or virtue? Like, you see yourself, you're roughly the same kind of level of maturity or same level of virtue pursuing or same level of like goodness and kindness, whatever, since middle school, and so you don't see yourself as progressing. That might be the case. If it is, let me know. I think that's a good measure, I suppose, of what you're looking for and why you feel like, oh, you're still that kid. Now, I remember when I was in college, I still felt like I was a child, right? I felt,
Mm-hmm.
and even as an adult, when I got to being like, out of college, an adult with my own jobs and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, I still feel like I'm like 16, still feel like I'm a kid, even though I wasn't, and I was doing adult things and whatever. I was responsible. I wasn't careless or anything, but it still felt like a kid. Yeah. He said, I'll keep that advice in mind. Maybe I need to try again with guitarlele, yeah, which is a guitar mixed with a ukulele.
Guitarlele.
Mm-hmm. I'd say that's accurate. My school was small, so it was easy to be friendly and kind with people. Okay, well, here's some thoughts for you. I was thinking about that, and when I was thinking about that, I was thinking particularly of the saints, the people who are religious that I can that we have a good way to examine their lives and figure out kind of their journey. And that's why I kind of referring to them. And I thought of two people, Saint Augustine. That's a familiar name. August. So Saint Augustine, sometimes they call them Augustine or Augustine, is a man, is a saint who, the father of the church. He's honestly one of the most revered saints of all times, and maybe potentially to some extent where you get your name. But yeah, I don't know. But anyways, they were a person who, yeah, there was a massive shift in their life from being one person to another, right? From being this person who went out, they were like, I guess you could call them a staunch atheist or something along those lines. They went to an incredibly high level of intellectual, what do you call that? Study, I guess, in high level colleges and whatever of the day, and they did all the things that you're not supposed to do on your character, like go out and yeah, just live a very sinful life, especially promiscuity. He practiced a lot of promiscuity, right? And his mother, Saint Monica, always prayed for his conversion. And eventually he ended up finding this priest who inspired him, because the priest was also an intellectual. And through that, he realized that he could pursue his intellectuality, and that there was a lot more to learn that he didn't understand, that he took for granted. And he ended up pursuing faith. And in that, he had to make a big change over who he was, in a lot of ways, right? Give up his promiscuity and pursue God. And that was probably a very difficult thing for him, but it was one that was of major consequence and of major change to who he was as a person. And there's a reason we call him one of the fathers of the church. I mean, he was incredibly intellectual, and really we continue to reference him even to today, right? I think that the change in him was to align himself with God, right? And now I'm going to tell you, like, that was his journey, and there was a big change of who he was since he was a kid to maybe his teens, from his teens to his adulthood, and probably adulthood to after, right? There are a lot of changes you could see. But once he kind of got himself right, got himself in a good position, I think the changes from there of virtue and so on were probably a lot less of a contrast, because he was already good. If you're already on the light side, there's not going to be as much of a contrast going from the dark to the light. But that doesn't mean that your changes aren't just as significant, right? If you go from brightness 0 to brightness 10 on a lumen scale, there's a huge difference, because suddenly, like, I can kind of see a little bit, But if you add 10 more to that, from 10 to 20, it's not as drastic as an experience, because it's not going from completely unable to see to now you can see, but it's still calculatively the same amount of change from 10 to 20, and you can still see better. And then from 10 to 30 to 40, all the way up to 1,000 lumens, which is still not even as bright as the sun. So you can keep going on that. Now, at some point, obviously, you get so bright, there's no distinction between blindness and blindness. But that doesn't mean you aren't continuing to grow. It just means that people can no longer see your growth, because it's no longer visible to them. And so just because you're continuing to grow doesn't mean it's always visible, right? You could be growing a lot, but no one can see it, because we don't necessarily measure it, or we can't even see it, because we're kind of blind to that area ourselves. So it's I think without having a major contrast in maybe some of your friends, you can Oh, double blindness, yeah. Maybe the contrast from your friends is you can see their growth or whatever. You can see this evolution from darkness to light in different various parts of their life, especially in different virtues or yeah, I would say virtues, being more responsible or being more yeah, anything. I think that that's great for them. It doesn't mean that you are lacking in any of that, right? So I want to go over to like another saint. There are many saints where we see this progression from a dark to a light, and then that was awesome. But there are maybe just as many saints who we see that who don't have that change from dark to light. They have this more, all right, you're just light, huh? You're just gonna be light the whole time? Okay, and that's what it feels like. But you can see if you actually read through their life story, they are changing over time, and they're just getting brighter and brighter. And so there are many, like for example, I think Gemma Galvani, Gemma Giovanni, something like that. Anyways, she's this saint who was very close to her guardian angel since she was like really little, and her guardian angel would scold her a lot. And so, but she was very incredibly humble and very, she spent most of her time just listening, right? She was very humble, and you don't see much change in her, but there was a lot of change. But because she just started out good, it doesn't feel like the story we often are drawn to. There are many saints like this. I think and any saint you can see once they reach goodness, you feel like they're not making much. But yeah, there are many saints who started off really lovely. I mean, Saint John Paul II. Okay, I mean, let's talk about him. John Paul II, right, who was a pope for a while. He was born also being able to see his guardian angel, which is what, and I mean, he's this dude who is just always awesome. Everyone loved him. He was like a shining star. He was just incredible. Like everybody who met him appreciated him and loved him. He had this huge heart. He would remember everybody he met. Like literally he would meet someone for like 3 seconds, get their name, and like 5 years later be able to call them out. It was insane. The dude was able to read 2 books at once, one with each eye. And he did it often. He did it almost every night. Dude was crazy good.
One book with each eye?
Yeah. He'd read 2 books at once. Not even joking. This was just his normal practice. Like in his bedroom at night, like his guards would often see him reading 2 books at once. At once. Not like referring to one, referring to the other, referring to one. Retaining both the books at the same time. This dude was insane. Okay.
I'm skeptical of that.
I know. This is just the account. This is the account. So anyways, this dude was nuts, right? And it's like how did, like, what's his progression? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure that you see any if you were to look at his life, because he started, like, what's the earliest accounts we have of him? It's like the earliest accounts we have of him is him just being great, him just being good, like some just like miracles after miracles after miracles. Like the first thing was like, I think one of the earliest stories we have of him is when someone asked where a certain individual was and they like couldn't find him, and he's like, why don't you just talk to God or your guardian angel about it? And then they were like, what are you talking about, dude? We need to look for this kid. We can't find him. And so he's like, I'll ask. All right, he's in the bush over there. And then he just walks away. And he was, right? The guy was. The dude was in the bush. And it was like this, I mean, everything with him is just, I mean, he was always such a great guy, a loving character, as far as we could see, right? I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's great. I mean, in his life, his personal experience, probably there was a ton of development gone through. And probably more development in his life than I have in mine. Like, I would imagine that the development from my darkness to now, which is brighter, is much less than his brightness to his much more brightness at my age, right? Because he had he started with good virtues like humility and he was a humble man, and he could kind of soak up all the other virtues because of it, right? This is so his brightness starting level might have been brighter than mine, but the contrast from me to him, or from contrast from me back then to me now, is a lot starker. But again, I think that I would imagine that the actual full change of him from his youth to where he was at my age was far greater in terms of scale and getting closer and closer to God and being a holy individual. But it's hard to see because it's like not so stark. So, anyways, that's what I have to add on to this conversation. I don't know if that's useful at all. I don't know if it might help see yourself in a better light, or kind of examine yourself from a different aspect. But that's kind of the way I feel about it. Because you obviously are progressing in terms of, like, you're getting into college from not being in college. You are, you know, your life changes, all sorts of different things. Your relationships change over time. So there's obviously physical realities that are changing in your life. But you feel like the same person the whole way. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, because it's like, don't change what's not broken, You don't fix what you don't need. Like, it's not even broken, so you can't fix it. And you're already an awesome individual. So I think you're just kind of getting brighter and brighter. So keep doing that. And if you like, I appreciate everything Joe said. I agree. I think chase after the virtues. It's great to spend some time looking into them and spending time on yourself at getting better at them. And I mean, it will never be a waste of time to do that. So, yeah, I would encourage that. But anyways, that's what I got. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add on to it? I see that there's quite a lot going on in chat. So,
yeah, the chat had a pretty cool analogy. Twashi brought up a Pokemon example, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so talking about Pokemon, Twashi says some of them you can level and level while you might have reached the needed level for evolution already. You're still missing a certain attack or an item, or sometimes they need to be traded.
Yeah.
So maybe for feeling a big step in the process, you just need to learn something new or obtain something or meet a certain person.
That's a great point.
And
That's a very great point.
I think
That's
yep. And it's amazing how your life can change in a millisecond with meeting a new person, or just or having some kind of an experience, and like all of a sudden, like everything can flip over because you experience this thing. And I don't know, I've seen it happen before, and sometimes you're not even looking for it, but then all of a sudden there it is.
Boom.
And then you make this progression in this area. It's crazy. But yeah, we never know. And so yeah, I think hopefully what we've talked about gets you moving in the right direction. And I'm not saying you're moving in the wrong direction now. It's just that in order for you to feel a little bit better about, your life and in your progression and whatnot, I think, if you can take some steps in a new direction, it doesn't have to be big ones, just little, just could be something small, and then everything that comes along with that can get crazy. Like we started a cabinet business, which I never, ever, ever, ever imagined that I would do that ever.
Right.
I never thought I'd be a woodworker ever. And, there was a time I never thought I'd be a business owner, but here we are. And now because of this, now I've gotten involved. I know this whole new community of people. I mean, with like 2 Thursdays a month, we have this, lunch that, this group of guys, get together, and everybody's like either a high level person in a company or owns the company. Most of them are owners. But you can kind of tell like the owners from the employees, there's just a different mentality involved in being a business owner. Hey, Beanzer, welcome.
Hey.
But yeah, but just getting to know these guys has had a huge impact on, the direction of my life and how how I approach things and whatnot, and in a lot of different areas. So, yeah, it's not just the activity that changes you. it's everything that comes with it. There's usually some kind of a community involved in that. There's when you dig into a new skill, you learn and you meet new people, and it's just crazy. But you definitely feel like your life's moving in a different direction, or you feel yourself growing, and um, so I don't know. I think that's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
oh, August, Joe, I am so right. I'm always so right,
Yeah. Yeah.
man.
That's right.
Except for when I'm wrong.
Well, I mean,
Um,
yeah. I guess.
about school feeling like it halts your progression in some ways. It does. But it feels cool, even if it's slow, if you make time for activities and grow your skill in it. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just tough when you're in college because you're so focused. You're so
Yeah.
focused
Yeah.
on your
That's true.
studies, you know.
Yeah.
So I get
Honestly,
it. It's okay.
a lot of self progression takes moments of silence, where you're, you know, but it's like something will happen in your life and it's gonna wait for you to you. It's like it's gonna wait until you have that moment of silence to actually start setting in. You know, sometimes that's how it
Mm-hmm.
works. I really liked what
Mm-hmm.
Tasha said. Yeah, that's true. There are many times where we're at the pivot point of something big, like a big change in our life, but the pivot point sometimes takes like an entire year, and you're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, or 2 or 3 years. Like there are times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joe's experienced that. My wife experiences that. So sometimes you're at that pivot point and you know you're there, or sometimes you don't know you're there, but it's just like something big has happened. It's just taking a long time to, turn over. And yeah.
There is one thing I want to encourage you to do, August, in all of this, because as you grow and as you have these new experiences, you're going to come across painful things. It's inevitable, right? This is life. We run into painful times. The problem that most of us, and myself included, when we run into some kind of a painful time is we resist it. We resist the pain. We resist the thing that causes us the pain. And sometimes it's appropriate, like if there's like a person that causes us pain and we need to distance ourselves from them or cut them out of our lives, like I've definitely had to do that before. It's tough. But when you come up with an experience that's painful, your knee-jerk reaction is going to be to resist it.
Hmm.
But if you can learn to embrace it, embrace the pain, embrace the experience that caused the pain, you will see yourself grow very quickly and in big ways a lot of times because you can allow the pain. And I remember Hal Elrod, who wrote the Miracle Morning book, a series of books. He talked about his 5-minute rule, where when something happened that he didn't like, he would give himself 5 minutes to complain and yell and scream and moan and swear and punch stuff and kick stuff and whatnot, like for 5 minutes, he could have an emotional reaction. And then at the end of that 5 minutes, he would stop and say, I can't change it. And then go on with his life. And it's crazy. You can gain so much resilience that way. You allow yourself to have an emotional reaction. Emotions come and go. They do. They're kind of like the weather. They just change. And we don't even control it all the time. But you allow yourself to have that emotional response and then stop yourself and say, okay, I can't go back and change that happened. I can't change that it hurt. But if you can learn to embrace the pain and then and see in there that the painful times are really the most valuable because they teach us the most about ourselves and the world around us. And we can really learn and grow as long as we don't resist it and fight it in our head and talk like, oh, it's so sad, so bad that happened. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. Why does this always happen to me? You know, wording like that, which we've all said, I'm sure, you know. But then if we can learn to embrace it and be like, you know what, I can't change that happened. Now you start looking at what can I gain from this? What did I learn from this? And it also puts you in a great position of being a more well-rounded individual where you almost feel invincible at times, because when you have that mentality of everything's a learning experience, it doesn't matter if it hurts. You just have that tucked way back in your head. And if you can create a habit of when something hurts, to open yourself to it, allow it to run through you, allow the pain to happen, and then find the lesson, that can be so you'll see yourself grow massively. So that's another thing. The whole world around you, this teaching that I'm talking about right now is so countercultural. We run away from pain and into pleasure all the time. That's what we're taught through everything.
Mhm.
We're you know, and that, oh, if you fail, it's bad. But really, no, it's just a learning experience. Everything is a learning experience. Everything. So learn to embrace it and learn to find it, because everything has that seed of growth in it. And that's what I got.
Beautiful, Joe. Absolutely. Yeah, agreed. Of Hal Alrad's 5-minute rule. Great.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit tougher on myself. I have like a 5 nanosecond rule, and then I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't have exploded like that. And everyone's like, you didn't explode. What are you talking about? I'm like, ah, man. It was like a 5 nanoseconds. And then I
Yeah.
realized that the world didn't deserve me treating it so harshly. You know, it's just doing what the world does. I didn't mean to be so mean. Ryan, you didn't do anything. Whatever.
I had a mean thought
Yeah.
for 5 nanoseconds. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Twashi, you're
have
so right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Spotify for Artists is a learning experience
That's
and a
right.
painful one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good job. Good job. You guys are doing hard work.
It is.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank
So
you so much,
if you get to be
August.
an artist and you're on Spotify for Artists, just be ready to grow as an individual. Maybe that's what you need to do. Release something, August, and get on Spotify for Artists and try and get help from somebody.
Yes. Keep working on your music, man. You're doing great.
Good luck.
August has some really great music, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, we should go on to the next topic while we have
Yes, let's do it.
right.
Let's go.
So we've got 3 here.
Yo, it's Jono.
Jono Taylor. Hey.
Jono.
Welcome.
I always say it wrong, and they always make fun of me. It's like anytime I say the ah sound, Jono. Like I remember
Wow.
being on a VC. Remember being on a VC with you, and your parents were there, and
Yes, I
it
remember
was
that.
so it was so funny. They're like, "Oh, the way you say his name is different."
Yeah.
It's true. Like but I'm American. I'm Midwestern American. But
It's Jano. The hard A.
yeah,
Kidding.
that's what it is. Good to see him, Jono.
Yeah.
Man, I miss you, buddy. I know you're busy, and so am I. But
Yeah.
man, I miss you.
All right. We've got
You look good in the chat.
Oh no. Maybe it's like that.
Jono.
We've got 3 here. One just came in. They're all no preference except for I want to be present, which is the one that just came in. They're anonymous because they didn't submit a name, but they said they wanted to be present, and they submitted it just a few minutes ago. Well, 43 minutes ago. So I think we'll do that one because now we have a better chance of them being here than any. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It makes sense.
Great. Then we'll do it. It's a hard one for Joe. But it's a good one.
Is?
Potentially, actually, I haven't read
for
it
me.
yet. Potentially.
Okay.
I mean, okay. Well, all right.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I'm a
Okay.
little. So is it in
Nervous.
the to be processed area right now?
No, it's already processed.
That,
Already processed.
oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. So this one,
Well, cheese whiz.
this one's titled "Friendship and Attraction."
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. See, friendship and attraction from we don't know, anonymous. Um, and I'll go ahead and put it on the screen for you guys so you can read along if you desire. It reads as follows: how do you know if you like someone? How do you know if you like someone? What's the boundary between enjoying friendship and attraction? How do you know if you like someone? What's the boundary between friendship and attraction? From Anonymous. All right. This is a great question. Honestly, this is a great question because um life is going to have relationships like these, and carrying them out in the best way possible is what you want. So these are important questions because you want to discover what is the best route, what's the best thing here, what are the boundaries, what what are the things that are not boundaries. How should I treat this friendship? Because your friendships are really important. They're probably one of the most important things in your entire life that you'll ever have. Your relationships. So this is a great question. Being able to discern and understand and how do you say protect the dignity of your relationships, protect the dignities of individuals. I think that's important. So how do you know if you like someone? It's a great question. And what is the boundary between enjoying friendship and attraction? With that, Joe, have I bought you enough time? Do you feel confident in
I don't
tackling
know,
this?
man. I'm gonna say some stuff.
Okay, I'm good with that. I'm okay with saying stuff.
You're good with me saying stuff. I
Yeah,
don't
do
know
you
if you
want a
want me
little
to talk
time
on
to?
this
Do you
one.
need
Yeah,
5 minutes?
talk about this one. Maybe. I don't know. Talk amongst yourself.
Do you want you want to practice the 5 minute rule and then you'll come
The
back?
5 minute. Maybe. No, it's fine. I just don't. It's tough to answer this. How do you know if
Mhm.
you like someone? I think you just know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a question to be thought of. How do you know if you like someone? I guess the question is,
What's the boundary between enjoying friendship and attraction?
if you like someone, I guess what's the difference? Like, if you're asking, oh, I don't know if I like this person or not, like that's a different question. If you're asking, how do I know if I like them? Chances are you probably like them, but it doesn't mean that they are necessarily meant to be pursued. In terms of something more than a friendship. Um, you might be unsure if you like someone or not in your friendship. Like as we're talking about, like being attracted to them, you might be unsure that you're attracted to them because you don't know why you're attracted to them, or you're kind of on the fence about it. Sometimes you're attracted, sometimes you're not. Um, maybe that's what you're going through, or maybe you're just a little like, this is kind of how I feel about a lot of people. Um, so I don't know if this is what this feels like. Is this the thing or is this not the thing? I don't know. Because if you feel it about a lot of people, that's not uncommon. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you
Mhm.
like multiple people at once. That happens to people, especially in their youth. Um, but even people in adulthood,
We're all born polygamists, man.
I find people in adulthood. I mean, that's why we have things like cheating, and other things. People find that they like someone else, maybe two people at once, three people at once. I don't think it's great, but it happens. So maybe that's why you're not sure if you like someone or not. But I would say, what's the emotional state of if you like someone? I think attractedness. But attractedness could just be that you're attracted to their qualities and you like them as a human being and you want to be like them in some aspect, but not necessarily like in that kind of relationship. So the question is, do you want to be in that kind of relationship with them? I think that's more important than whether you're just feeling a fling of emotion. Like, Oh, is this the emotion they're talking about when you like someone? Who cares? Are they the kind of person that you want to spend the rest of your life with? You know, is that what you're feeling, or is that not what you're feeling? You know, I think that's a good way. It's a good marker, maybe, because anything else could just be a fling. You know, it could just be an emotion that lasts for like a couple of seconds and goes away. You know, but if you feel like you think about it long enough and you go, that person would be really healthy for me, and I might be healthy for them, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you have something worth investigating. That'd be the beginning of the investigation. You know, that wouldn't be the answer. Like, okay, now I've got it. They're going to pursue. It requires a lot of thought. Anyways, there you go, Joe. I think I gave you enough time. You ready? Did I answer all the questions? Did you get anything?
Ready or not?
Ready or not? Ready or not? Here he comes. All right, Joe, take it away. You got
How do you
this.
know if you like someone? I don't know. I think you just know. I think, and sometimes it might take you a while to figure it out. And
Mm.
I can tell you this, for me anymore, um, there's a difference. How do you know whether or not you like someone? That's one thing. And then a completely other thing is, am I going to allow myself to like this person? Am I going to accept it? Right? Like, do I
Mm-hmm.
like this person? And I'll always say no.
Even if you do, yeah, fair.
Even if I did, like it would be like, okay, no. And then it's like, and then it's like, man, I gotta shut this down. This is me personally speaking. It's like in my brain, I'm just like, nope, I can't allow myself to go this way. Right? If it were to happen, I'd probably shut it down. Now, here's the thing. I do know myself well enough to know what happened last time, where I got all swept up and I was all in it before I even knew what was going on. My friends all knew before me because they saw a big, huge change, right? And then, and then my life got completely changed and thrown, I would say, thrown off track from where I was. No, my life took a different track, and it's fine. Here we are. We're where we're at, and I wouldn't. There's so many things I wouldn't change about where I am now. Because I know Ryan. I have all these friends. I own 2 businesses. I have 2 kids. There's a lot of stuff that's good that came out of being on that path. But the path I was on got completely destroyed because of that. And so you'll see, if you join my server, you'll see in the rules that this is a romance-free server. Don't talk about it. I don't like, and even though now I'm better, like I can talk about these kinds of things and not like be triggered for a week, and like have some kind of nervous mental breakdown, and like whatever. But it's still, I remember being in that state where I was so averse to anything romantic. I just couldn't handle it. Like people like holding hands in front of me, like would make me so mad. People hugging and kissing in front of me would just make me want to vomit, make me really upset because I remember how I had gotten swept up in a romantic situation and it totally destroyed my life. Well, it it destroyed where the path I was on at the time. It didn't destroy my life, but it destroyed the everything that I had planned for my future crumbled and went away and it got replaced with what this person wanted. It was funny. I was actually talking with Steve. Steve, the president of BSS. He's like one of my best friends. And we were talking. We were at our cabinet shop, and he's a co-owner of the cabinet company as well. And we were there just talking through some stuff. And I was like, we were listening to a band. We were listening to 311. Anybody know who 311 is? If
I
you
do,
don't,
but because of Steve.
they're awesome. One of my favorite bands. And I know I from the time I was like in college, and then I was in a band and I was with these guys, and I loved 311. I loved them. And I remember this was so crazy because um she was my girlfriend at the time. She ended up becoming my wife. Um she took me, she bought tickets, and we went to a 311 concert. It was at St. Andrews in Detroit, and it's this really, really old building. And 311, if you know 311, they've got these, kind of like you just nod your head or bounce.
Mm.
We were in the balcony. The balcony felt like it was gonna fall down
Because everyone's
because it was
bouncing the
just
same way.
yeah, you're bouncing. Everybody's bouncing to the beat of this song, and it's just like you could watch. You'd feel it under your feet, and you just like watch the whole thing, like a couple inches like of bounce.
That's
Just like,
amazing.
whoa, man.
Wow.
But here's the thing. I remember being at that
Wow.
concert, and I remember just being so mad. One of my favorite bands I ever thought of, and I was so mad. Well, Joe, why were you mad? Aren't you having a fun time? I'm like, they put on a great show. It was a great show. But I was mad because I was sitting there with this person who I knew I had thrown away everything for, and I didn't see a way back. I didn't see a way out. I didn't see a way back into the life that I had planned on living. And I was very, very frustrated, and I had kind of given up. And I was like, you know what? And so I was just really, really mad and felt helpless. I know this isn't anything about answering your question, Anonymous, but if you, I think I'm with Ryan. If you ask yourself, do I like this person? Probably you do at some level. And I think the key is to really start to be mindful of the red flags. There are a lot of them. How they treat other people, how, all that kind of stuff. If you're making sweeping changes in your life because of them, these are all kind of red flags. Because I want to encourage you, excuse me. Sorry, I'm about to puke because we're talking about romance. um, it's really tough. I remember finding myself I was attracted to a nun once.
Hmm.
Remember that, Ryan?
Well, I don't remember it, but I believe you.
It's like
Happens.
there's no possible way any of that could
Oh yeah,
ever
wait, I do
come to
remember that.
fruition
Yeah,
ever,
yeah, I do
right?
remember that. Yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah, I
a
do.
nun,
I remember now.
but she was this young, cute nun, man, and I was like, "Oh, wow." Um,
I do
it's
remember that
important
now.
not to excuse someone's behavior just for the sake of liking them. That's true. That's true. And Soleil says, "Do you like them or do you like the idea of being with them?" There is a difference. While you're in the middle of the second part of that, it can be hard to see the difference. And
Yeah,
yeah, if you like the idea of being with them, then it all just feels like, well, I like them, right? And so it's tough to distinguish. But I would say if you find yourself and you start to think that you're liking someone, I would recommend, you know, take it easy because it's not hard. to get swept up into those emotions. Pretty easy to get swept up into those emotions, actually. And then you wake up and you're like, what the heck did I do? Right? And you're like, holy cow, my life is totally different now. Depending on who you're with. Now, I happen to be with someone who is really abusive and manipulative. And like 6 months into this relationship, I had dismantled all my friendships. I had left my band. I had no friendships. I had no friends around me. It was just her. And that was part of the plan, to isolate. And so be mindful of that, you know, as you progress through your stages of liking someone. Are they trying to isolate you? Are they trying to sing, it's so crazy, man. Anyway, before I go nuts and just start making this a Joe Sob story, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because,
Fair enough.
Ryan believes love and romance are good things, and
Well,
so he's gonna be a better person to talk about this.
I don't know if that's. I think what you had to say is important. I think it's great to ask the question. Like, here I've got my life, and I've got a few things lined up, a few things that are going well for me. Okay. Is this the kind of person I'd be willing to toss all of that away for? Because the relationship might request that of you. They have. I mean, even in the Bible, right, like from the earliest times, it says, "Therefore, the man leaves his mother and father and clings to his wife." He goes on a new adventure. He removes all of the. He's willing to sacrifice everything. Now, even if you are willing to sacrifice, not everything is worth sacrificing for, just like Joe's kind of given an example of. There are people in your life that maybe you will come to like, that at this moment, and maybe forever, they might not be the person that can honor your sacrifice because they aren't up to it. They don't have your best intention in mind. And so if they're not interested in you and they don't have your best in mind, there's no reason to pursue that because you're going to be sacrificing and they're not going to be honoring your sacrifice. That's the reality. So it's a great question to ask if you like someone. Good. It's like, do I like this person? Yeah, well, maybe you do. Okay. Think about that for a moment. Now think about that person. Who are they? If you make the sacrifice where you give up a lot of your plans for life and so on to pursue them, okay? Do you think they're the kind of person that's going to honor it? Well, in order to answer that question, it might be important to ask there's a lot of important questions to ask about that, like, are they the kind of character? Do they have a good character? Do they seem to you like they're the kind of person that will honor those, right? Do they seem interested in you? Like, they look at you and they think, yeah, I want to honor every one of their sacrifices. I want to love them. I want to help them have their life. Are they not that kind of person? So, and the thing is, not everybody has to be mentally deranged to be a person who doesn't honor a sacrifice. We all do that. That happens all the time. Someone will let you borrow something of theirs for a time. And for them, that might be a huge sacrifice. But for you, you might be like, well, people borrow stuff all the time. Like, what is it? Like, what's the big deal? We all have different ways that we look at things, and we're all making a different sacrifice when we make the sacrifice of the same object. Because some of us have different hearts. We have different needs. We have different thoughts about whatever it is that we're sacrificing. So my point is, how do you know you like someone? Good question. I think be honest with yourself. Am I attracted to this? Why am I attracted to this? What do I want out of this relationship with this person? As Saule said, do you like them? Do you like their character? Do you like the way that they do this, that, and the other thing? Do you like what they stand for? Do you like how open-minded they are or how closed-minded they are? You ask these questions. Or is it that you like the idea of being with them? Maybe they have high status. Maybe they have, maybe their personality is such that you feel great being around them. That's a nice thing, but that's not necessarily who they are. That's how you feel when you're around them. And that's a good thing. Feel that. That means that they're probably, at least to some degree, recognizing you. But beyond that, it might not mean much. They might be just really charismatic. But if you got to know them a little more, maybe they're not such a great person. So I think these are all great things to ask. I think this is something that he's like, how do you know if you like someone? That means you're thinking. I would say keep thinking. Keep thinking. Keep thinking. You really want to test the waters here, because this is someone, right? If you're asking this question, this is probably someone who you're considering spending an exorbitant amount of time with, and that is a life decision. That is a life decision. And not all life decisions need you to spend a whole lot of time thinking about them, but some of them do. And I think relationships is one of them. Relationships demand discernment. Relationships demand discernment. Why? Because relationships are inherently incredibly valuable. And so they're one of the highest states of things we can have. Most valuable things we can have in our life is a relationship. But they're not all the same. And some of them are, you could call them cursed. And so it's important to have discernment, because that person, whoever they are, is going to determine what kind of relationship you're going to experience out of that. And that experience will potentially shape every other experience in your life from then on. So yeah, it demands, because of its high value or high importance or high intensity, it demands some discernment. And so for me, what I do is I pray about it. There are some times where during my life I was like, I'd start praying about it, and immediately I'd be like, okay, nope. Why? It's like, because as soon as I bring my heart to God and go clearly, you want the good, a lot of times the bad is immediately exposed. And it's like, maybe it's the bad in me, the selfishness. Maybe it's the bad in the other person, and that they're not going to honor my sacrifice for them, right? It could be that. That can happen. And sometimes you discern and you're like, I'm not quite getting an answer on this. I don't know. Sometimes you pray and you're not sure. You have to work it out. Sometimes, it can be hard. But I would say pray about it, discern, do your best. If you're not into God, that's okay. Still worth a prayer. All right, honestly. Still worth a prayer, but also worth some meditation, some time spent thinking about it. Maybe if you have a hard time thinking, you can journal about it. Journal about whether journal about the things you like about them. Journal about what not necessarily you fantasize or imagine the future to be, right? Because fantasies are not reality and can do us wrong. But journal, think about it the best you can, discern. And as far as the boundaries between enjoying friendship and attraction, I'm wondering if you're meaning the boundaries between enjoying friendship and enjoying attraction. There, because you can enjoy an attraction, you can enjoy a thought, you can enjoy, they have this thing in, I don't know if it's in all of, I know it's a Catholic thing. I don't necessarily practiced in Protestantism, but I wouldn't put it against them. It's very well possible, or Mormons or anything like that. But you have this thing where you have a thought, and it's not a sin to have that thought, but it can become a sin if you decide to entertain the thought. If you decide to entertain the thought because you enjoy that fantasy or that idea or that thing, right? And it can be many things. You have intrusive thoughts. You don't have to sit there and enjoy them. You have to live them out in your head, right? Um, and so, is it like a mortal sin? No, it's a venial sin. It's just a thing you did because you chose it, right? Even though it's like, I probably shouldn't have probably shouldn't have spent any time thinking about that. Nope, that was not healthy. That was indignified. That was not respecting that person's dignity, or using them as an object in my mind, or whatever it was. It could be anything, right? Any variety of things. So, enjoying the attraction, I think that can go too far sometimes, right? Sometimes we flirt with someone with no intention making it anything more than just a flirting thing, which is fun. And maybe that's okay, but maybe it's not, right? I think in many cases, it's probably not okay. I would say in most cases, it's probably not okay. Flirting isn't an evil thing, but it certainly has its, what's the word? Consequences. Okay. Consequences to you, and consequences to the person flirting with, consequences to the relationships around you. So if you find yourself enjoying the attraction, that's okay. But at the same time, be mindful, be prudent, right? Be prudent. That's a important thing here. If you're enjoying the friendship, obviously that's normal. That's good, healthy. And if you're attracted to values of them, that's great. If you're enjoying the friendship because you're like, like this person's really awesome, that's great. That's all good, all beautiful, holy, wonderful, great, fantastic. But if you're start to go down a line where you're like, okay, this is less about the friendship and more about my attraction to them, then I would say give yourself some pause, right? If it becomes less about the friendship, less about them, and more about you feeding a fantasy, or you feeding, yeah, I would say that. If it becomes more about you feeding a fantasy, then it becomes actually about the real living friendship you're experiencing with them on the moments you're with them, right? If it becomes more about the fantasy, then give yourself pause. I would say, yeah, give yourself some pause there. And that's the best I got for you. I think all of those things are important. Because this person, whoever it is important. And their life is important. I mean, we've talked a lot about love on this before. And that, it's not a feeling. Feeling is a part of it, but it isn't the whole of it by any stretch. It's quite a small fraction. But that doesn't mean that there is no feeling involved. It's just, that's not all of what love is. It's not what it has to offer. So, if you want to pursue love, it's oftentimes going to be pursuing the good of the other, pursuing the goodwill of the other, willing the good of the other, right? Oftentimes. And if you think about it that way, if you think about your person that you're attracted to or admiring, whatever it is, in those terms, hopefully you can see whether you're wanting something for yourself or you're wanting something for them. And a lot of times all you have to give to them is yourself. Think about that. Like, that's serious. That's really serious. And it's serious in the most beautiful way. Okay? Because, like, you're looking at the person, you say, I think I like them. I think I love them. I want to be with them for the rest of my life. That's fine, and those are your desires, but hold on a second. If you love them, that means you want the best for them. What do you have to offer them that's going to be the best for them? You can't can you ensure that they're going to have a better life because you're in it? These are real questions that you have to come to terms with, because a lot of times it's the reality. It's like, oh, I love this person. It's like, okay, so you want the best for them. It's like, yeah, of course I want the best. Okay, so do you think that you say you want to be with them? Question is, why? Do you think that their life is going to be better because you're around? Because all you have to give to them is yourself. Yeah, obviously maybe like something like the money I have or the whatever, it's stuff like that, but that's all just things you own and they can be whisked away in a moment. Everything you
Yep.
have you could lose.
Yep.
Everything you have you could lose in a blink of an eye.
Because of them.
Well, because of them, but also because like your house burns down, for example, and everything you own goes away. That happened to me and my mom and my brother. Or, you're for some reason something happens, whether it be illegal or whatever, all of a sudden you're out of a job. You don't have any income. You don't have anything. All you really have to give to this person is yourself. And if we ever think that it's like, oh yeah, what would be best for them is me, I mean, it's a little bit much to that. Okay. So
unless you're me.
Yeah, unless you're perfect like Joe, then that's perfectly fine. But no, that's great. But I think, and I'm not trying to say like, well, then never get into a relationship. No, I'm just saying this is the seriousness and this is the reality of it and the beauty of it. It's actually beautiful because all you really have to give is yourself. How good is that? Work on that. Make it something that is good for them. You don't work on yourself just for the sake of yourself, because that's what a lot of people do and they don't end up great places. You work on yourself because it's what you have to give to the world, to the people around you, to your loved ones, and especially to your most beloved one who you might be in a relationship with. And also especially the other most beloved one, which is God. So I would say, think about those things. Think about all those things I just said. And then draw your attention back to this person and look at them and say, all that I am, all that I have, all that I could become is now associated forever, potentially, with this one person. Am I up for that? Are they up for that? Am I currently in a state where offering them that is good? Or offering them that could be bad because I am in a state where I'm kind of not great yet, but I could get there. Right? Sometimes that's the case. I've been there. So it's important to work on ourselves. So that's a very long-winded way to answer this question. I hope that it was insightful and I hope that it was encouraging, actually. Because I want it to be encouraging. Because this is a big deal. And it's good that it's a big deal. It's supposed to be a big deal. It's that lovely, but at the same time, it is a sacrifice. And it should be taken seriously, right? And so, because you're talking about something serious. It's not, I mean, it is lighthearted. It can be, but in reality, it's a lot. So it does demand seriousness. You're talking about someone and your relationship with them and going into a level where like it's this kind of like level, like a covenant, like a marriage or something, is the end route of that, right? You're talking about that. That should be taken with great honor, respect, time, patience, and especially seriousness by that I mean like prudence, and great humility and every kind of virtue that you can apply and throw at this because it's that valuable. And it is also that thing that it will shape your life for many years to come, all of the years to come. So, yeah, that's what I would have to say about it. I think we don't mean, I don't intentionally mean to be like dark or downtrodden about it. I'm just saying it's so lovely that it demands that. And I think that's good. That's what I got. Joe, do you have
Huh?
anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I do
Awesome.
actually.
Good, good.
Because we got 5 minutes left, or
Do
like
it.
10 minutes left, or whatever. We gotta fill this. I'm gonna give you a. I don't know. Here's a take it for what it's worth. Bit
Mm.
of guidance. Those of you who know me, and if you've watched this show, you probably know a little bit about like where I stand on this whole type of issue. Um, so it'd be easy to just brush off anything I say and just, oh, he's just cynical, he's just blah 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 blah, whatever, he's just whatever. And people can do that. I know people that have said, like, oh well, you got burned really bad, so of course you're going to be cynical. Of course you're going to be, like you're going to be averse to this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I would say this. I think Ryan hit the nail on the head when he talked about sacrifice and all that kind of stuff. Like, because when you get into a serious relationship, when you start liking somebody, it's hey, I like them,
Mm-hmm.
big deal, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like oh, so we get these feelings involved, and we do this stuff and whatever, right?
Yeah, it's lighthearted more of that.
But if you get anonymous, I don't know who you are. You're anonymous,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say if you're going to get serious with somebody, if you like someone to the point where it's like, oh, I could see myself getting serious with them, then I would be prepared for it to stop everything that you're building, everything that you're working towards, everything that you have on track to, whatever, like whether it's education, whether it's a business, whether it's, a career of some kind or whatever it is. When you get serious with someone, with very, very, very rare exception, I've seen a relationship more times than not stop everything and sometimes destroy it. Very rare exception, especially with musicians. Musicians are emotional beings, and we use our emotion in our creation of our art. And that can become a real point of jealousy with whoever comes in.
Mm.
And so there's a lot of different stuff. This is one of the things Steve and I were talking about. Like, very rare exception have I ever seen a musician get into a relationship and have it not completely destroy his career, whatever he was trying to build, he or she. So, like what Ryan was saying, be prepared to sacrifice. Yeah. So, when you like someone, hey, that's one step, right? When you start moving toward, hey, we're getting serious, then, like Ryan said, be prepared for the sacrifice. And I would say, be prepared for it to destroy everything. And are you willing to destroy everything that you have and are to create something new with this person? And so, like Ryan said, be hopefully they're worth the sacrifice you're going to make. I don't know. It's just the way,
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
you know, I've seen it throw everything off. Like I talked about me at that concert when I was so mad because it right up there in front of me performing was this one of my favorite bands. And I was like, you know what? That's what we were building toward, and we were moving toward it, and we were getting deals, we were getting lined up with different people, and we had plans, we were moving to Boston, all this kind of stuff, and we were like, we have a chance, we have the talent, we have the ability, we have the work ethic, we have all this kind of stuff. And then when I got into a relationship, it threw the whole thing away within months. It was gone. It never recovered. And who knows what could have been. Maybe who knows, right? But man, that is probably that's why you've heard me say on this show before, like be really, really cautious when planning on burning a bridge.
Mm.
The bridge that I burned, that I go back to that example to, and I will never burn a bridge again, was because I burned a bridge with those guys. They were my best friends. They were my bandmates. And we made great music together. Everybody was so good. Everybody was so good at what they did. And we were moving forward. We were playing all the time. We were getting lined up to do some recording, and back then recording was a lot different than it is now. It's easy now to make a recording. But man, I got in a relationship and then everything went down the toilet. All of it. I've watched it happen with friends of mine. I've watched it happen with musicians that are famous. We're going to get canceled on YouTube for this story, but there's a guy, Steve was telling me this story about one of his really good friends who's out in Vegas, or maybe he's in Los Angeles, I don't know, but he's a musician and he was coming. He's like working. Found out he just shot himself because he got in an argument with his fiance. And I'm like, man. My view on this is probably very skewed, but I can't deny evidence in front of my face. I can't deny my own personal experience. So if you plan on making this a thing, take account of everything that you want your life to be. And I would be ready to throw it all away. Because that very well could happen. That's Joe's warning.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm
I think it's
very
good.
sorry.
I think it's good. I mean, because that's what it's asked for you. You know, I mean, that's when you make a wedding vow. That's what the wedding vow says in it, essentially. Like, are you willing to throw away everything? You know, and no matter what happens. So it's et cetera, et cetera. Like a lot of those wedding vows are like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, no
It
matter what
is.
happens, are you guys going to be together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and sometimes it does demand those things of you. Sometimes it does demand your whole thing. I'm very blessed in the situation I'm in because my wife is very supportive and she's also a kind of person that does things. I haven't produced much music lately, but that's nothing to do with my relationship with her. It's more health and different things I've been doing lately. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm in a very blessed situation. I would never change. I'm so happy to be where I'm at, right? But at the same time, I'm absolutely willing to throw away anything I have for it because I find it's the highest good. That's not always the case in every kind of relationship you have. You know, there are some relationships that are just really not worth throwing away everything you have for it because they're not going to be the kind of person to receive it and try to build you up. They're going to be the kind of person that's going to try to receive it and take it away from you and run away.
Yeah.
You know,
they're going to consume it and destroy you in the
destroy
process.
you. Yes. So I would say evaluate the person, evaluate yourself, evaluate everything you can before you jump into these kinds of relationships. Be as honest and brutally honest as you possibly can. Why? That's what's going to get you the best out of life. That's the
To be
answer.
brutally honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Be brutally honest with yourself. Who are they? Who are you? That's what's going to get you the best out of it. And that's good. Yeah.
Dang. Sorry, guys. I love you.
It's good. No, it's great. I think it's important. I think it's beautiful, but hard.
Yep.
Hard.
I think it is. And, I think if you could put off that whole aspect until you have something built, until you have some kind of a life built that you can welcome them into, and you guys can continue building it together, that would be ideal. But it doesn't always happen that way. Feelings don't happen that way. They come out of the blue, and things come out of nowhere, and
Yeah,
they catch us off guard, and
catch you up
and we roll with it. And
you
then
know what I
you're like,
mean?
then all of a sudden you're all Twitter pated and you're crazy, right? And like,
Mhm.
yeah, I know.
And I got a brownie.
You got a brownie.
I got a
Oh, that
brownie.
looks like a great brownie.
My
I'm
wife,
jealous of you because I know those brownies are great.
they are. My wife makes these brownies. They're so stinking good.
Uh-huh.
I will refrain from eating it on stream. We're about to close off, but we'll be eating it soon.
Yep. But just, you know, I don't know. There are things to do. I don't know. There's scriptural stuff in here too about like build your house before you're something or other.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Be patient
get
with
your
us.
get your stuff in order,
Yeah.
before you decide to run off and la la love land.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Right. Right.
take it for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's what we got for you. Thank you for this great topic, and we appreciate you. And we hope that it was useful. We hope that it answered your questions, or gave you something to think about that will answer your questions at the very least. But with that, thank you for being here with us on our Don't Worry Wednesday. And on this particular Wednesday, the Wednesday of the 12th
March 19th.
of March. Sorry, the 19th of March.
19th.
12th.
Yeah,
That was last week.
that one.
Yes. Thank you all for
On
being
the
with us.
onside, you missed it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be if you go back and re-listen, you're gonna be offended. I
Ooh.
promise.
I don't know if she'd be. She'd probably just agree. Probably agree with you completely. Like, yeah, that's seriously. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, make that mad face. You can't hurt me.
You can't hurt me. That's adorable. Thank you, Sally, for saying for putting that out for us. If you guys have any topics that you want us to cover, anything that you want us to do our best to supply our own life experiences and perspectives on, go to don'tworrywednesday.com and submit a topic. Again, so eventually you'll pull on your beard. There you go. Pull on one mustache hair.
You gotta end up being a little closer than you are now. And remember, I'm in the process of working on building your house.
Oh.
So be careful with your threats.
Yeah, well, wait, was that a threat?
I can threaten in return, like, what can I leave here?
My threat is, if you threaten me, I will threaten you.
That's right, I'll threaten you back. Oh, you'll be nice until after. Okay.
That's so funny. You look great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, I believed you when you said that. That was all just buttering me up. Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah. You do look great, Joe. You do.
Thanks.
Welcome. You guys, thank you so much for the show. We hope you all had a good time, and if nothing else, it was entertaining and thought-provoking. We hope that the rest of your week goes wonderfully, and we get to see you again on Wednesday. You're all so beautiful, and we love you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, you have good energy today. There you go.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's the anger.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right. Love you guys.
Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
See you soon. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Oh, there we go.